Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope the sun is shining where you are and you have a drama-free day. I guess it's enough you get drama from me. Ready for some fresh ones? Let's go to the first one, which is crazy. It's about OP's ex, who had an affair, and now demands OP lets her and her affair partner move in with him because she is pregnant and has nowhere to go. The audacity of some people. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So I, 21 male, have an ex, Angelica, 20 female. Angelica and I had an on and off relationship since we were about 15, but got serious when virus hit, and I had to move back to my hometown. We got an apartment together, and very soon after, she started spending a lot of time with her cousin. Long story short, she's cheating with her cousin. We break up. We've been broken up 9 months at this point. For 7 of those months, her phone has been on my phone bill and she owes me over $500. Fine, whatever. I'll never see that $500, and she always makes excuses to pay me back. That's life. My own fault for letting her keep using me as a cash cow. She also took my car when we broke up, and I let her because I was too afraid she would try to take my apartment too. Anyway, it's 9 months past our breakup. I get a message. Hey, I'm pregnant. I'm on my way home from work, so I don't respond. That is 9 months past being my problem. It is not my baby. She messages me again. My boyfriend, the one she cheated on me with, and I have nowhere to stay, still 9 months past my problem. Angelica has never worked a day in her life. She lives off the disability check from her boyfriend and spends it 99% on W and fast food. She never paid rent and is documented to never pay rent. Anyway, she tells me, my name is still on the lease, we're going to move in September. I tell her, your name is not on the lease. It was renewed last month and I took your name off. I'm sorry. She messages me calling me an a-hole and saying she's moving in because she has nowhere for her baby and 3 dogs to stay. Mind you, my apartment is more like a studio and barely fits me, let alone 2 other people and 3 dogs. I tell her it's not happening. I'm moving out of town soon anyway. Also, come pick up her crap that she's left at my apartment for 9 months. She says no, and if I throw it away, she's going to press charges. I tell her it doesn't matter because when I move, I'm throwing it away. She later called my landlord and told him I was planning to move out. I got upset at this and told her I ran the numbers on the car. It's still in my name. Get the car out of my name now or I'm repossessing it, or she can leave me the duck alone. She started bawling on a call, asking how I could do this to her and her unborn child, and I was condemning her and her child to be homeless. I'm really considering repossessing the car since it was mine from the start and is still in my name. She doesn't deserve to get a free car handed to her. She needs to wake up. She keeps saying she needs a place to stay. I'm ruining her and her baby's life. It's literally my apartment that she has never once paid rent on. I don't know how she thinks she's entitled to just live in my apartment with the guy she cheated on me with, and 3 dogs. I hope the baby ends up okay. It's not its fault its mother is a spoiled brat. But I also hope being homeless and carless wakes her the duck up. OP needs to report the car stolen now. Say he has asked for the car back and she won't return it, as it's been some time. So OP has technically let her have it. But if he has asked for it back, OP has grounds to report it stolen. OP also needs to make sure the locks are changed and needs to tell the landlord what's going on and get a restraining order done like yesterday and go no contact with her. Hopefully OP lets reality smack the ex in the face. She doesn't deserve any help after doing all that. Let's see if the community agrees with me. Professor McGonagall 88 says, dude, you need to file severe police reports, like yesterday. Jeep Hammer says, as to the car, a good time to give her stuff back is when you repossess the car. Again, still in your name, and you can very well be held at least partly responsible if they do something stupid or get into an accident with it. When her stuff is gone, you have either the car back or have police reports they have possession of these things, then block her in every way possible. Not your monkeys to deal with. Update. Phone is not on the phone bill. Her stuff is out of his apartment. Dog is in my possession. Still no car. I think it is not worth it at this point, and I'm cutting her out of my life. No contact. My other male cousin got engaged recently, and it brought up the conversation of weddings and wedding dresses with my mom and I. A little bit of background. My mom had a beautiful custom wedding dress made for her when she got married in the 90s. Her sister, my aunt, asked to borrow it to wear it for her own wedding years later, and my mom agreed. The dress was later returned to my mom. When I was 16 or so, I expressed that I thought the dress was pretty, and my mom asked if I'd like to wear it one day for my wedding. I said yes. A few years later, my cousin Gia got engaged and asked my mom to cut pieces of the dress to add to her own. Since she had already promised it to me, my mom asked me first if I was okay with it. I said I wasn't, since I still wanted to wear the dress for my own wedding. My mom said okay, and I thought that was that. Today we were talking about taking my male cousin's fiancé dress shopping, and I mentioned how I would miss out on doing that. Through that conversation, my mom told me that she'd given the pieces of her dress to Gia after all, and forgotten to let me know. I was upset. First, she tried to tell me she thought I'd okayed it, until I reminded her of the actual conversation. She then said she thought I wouldn't really care that much, and that I'd understand Gia wanted to have a part of her mom's dress. Remember, my aunt wore it too. Then she brought up how I'm not even engaged yet, dating for 7 years, and she thought my taste for the dress would have changed by now. She said I could still use other pieces of the dress Gia left behind. I'm still upset. This was something very important to me for the sentimental value the dress held. I wouldn't have minded if it was lent to my cousin intact, but the fact that it's been cut up means I can never wear my mom's wedding dress the way she promised me. I know that ultimately, though, she's allowed to do what she wants with it because it's her dress. My aunt wore the dress too, so it makes sense that Gia be offered to wear it. But cutting it up? Going back on the promise? Not telling me? I feel like I was wronged here by both my mom and my cousin Gia. But am I just being entitled? Wow, poor OP. I understand why she's upset. I would be very much hurt as well. I don't think it's so much about the dress as it is about OP's mother's dismissal of how important it was to OP. She made a promise to OP and broke it by giving it to OP's cousin. The worst thing is, she doesn't even feel sorry. She's given OP justifications, not apologies, and pretended she thought OP knew. Let's hear the community's opinion. Emesliakov says, "Not the a-hole, your mother is. It is true that it is hers, and she can do whatever she wants, but she put her niece's very strange desire to cut up the dress and ruin it for all time ahead of you, her daughter, with a normal desire to wear the dress as is." Youth in Asia 63 says, "When you eventually come to the point of getting your own wedding dress, you do not have to involve your mother. You can include your bridesmaids, if you have any, or your friends, or your future mother-in-law, but maybe not your mom. You had a wedding dress picked out and promised to you, and your mom went back on her promise. Okay, fine. It was your mom's dress to do with as she wanted, even if she did ask what you wanted to do with the cutting parts off thing, and then ignored your wish that the dress stay intact for you. So you will have to go get a different dress. Thanks, Mom. So when you buy or design or plan your dress, your mom does not have to be involved with it a second time. Not the a-hole." Jen in Miami says, "Not the a-hole. Your mom is absolutely awful for lying to you and destroying your wedding dress. This would freaking kill me, not gonna lie. It would take a long time before I spoke to her again." My in-laws live many hours away, and we see them maybe 3 times a year. They persistently keep up family photos with my partner's ex on display. There's one I don't mind so much because it features partner's granddad, who has since died. But there's also different fridge magnets and little photos of her that seem to pop up each time. They're all old photos from when she was with my partner. My partner and his ex used to live very close to the in-laws, and they moved to my state 4 years ago, so ex and in-laws have a lengthy history. However, they split because she had an affair, and she stole money from the family business around that time too. I'm not sure how much ex and mother-in-law are in contact now, but I suspect it's more than she lets on to me and my partner. Ex and my partner do not get along outside of usual civil and unnecessary communication. At first, I thought it was just carelessness, and understood that they probably missed the time when partner, ex, and the children lived nearby. But now, I've been in their life for 3 years, and I find it quite disrespectful. The first time I pointed it out to my partner, he spoke with mother-in-law and most of the photos were put away. But they're back out every time we visit. I'm here today and feel like just putting everything back in the van and driving home overnight. But can't because we can't come again until October. How would you respond to this? Well, first thought I had is that she's doing it for the kids, as I understand OP's partner and ex share kids together. She might be doing it for her grandkids to show them that their mother is loved and accepted. Otherwise, I don't understand why she would keep pictures of a person who hurt her son and stole from them. That's the only logical explanation I have. What do you guys think? And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Bra Ali Cam says, "Honestly, this may be against everything else here, But if she wants to have photos of her, that's her choice. Sometimes it's hard to realize that there was good times before you came into the picture, literally. These photos may mean something to her. My mother-in-law has photos of my hubby's ex around her house. The woman who cheated on him, stole from him, wasn't good with the kids. But those photos represent an innocent time before that happened, when they would play board games and the ex would come by and bring them snacks. It's totally fine to feel your feelings about the photos and not like who was in them. But maybe instead of making your mother-in-law take down her photos in her house, ask her the story behind them, because maybe part of her healing is having these happy memories. Sweet Texas Tea says, make new photo magnets and send them a couple times a year so they have something to replace the old ones with. Also, make sure you send other family photos as well. These make excellent gifts for Christmas, Mother's Day, other holidays. X. Entitled ex-boyfriend. EL. Ex's lawyer. CJ. Judge. ML. Mother-in-law. MM. My mom. My kids and I lived with X in Oregon for 5 months in 2001. He was an overbearing, know-it-all narcissist whose favorite thing to tell me was, "I am older than you, therefore I am smarter than you." He worked as an industrial engineer at the time, and I agree he was intelligent, but a bear to live with. My kids and I packed up and left him late April 2001. We moved back to my home state of Illinois. I met my boyfriend in August of 2001 and got pregnant mid-September. Fast forward to October 2002. I get a court summons for paternity establishment from X for the beginning of November. I was totally bumfuzzled by this, but on the day of court, my mom and I went. My mom and I are seated at one table, and across from us, X's lawyer and X are seated, with X sending me smug looks. The judge enters, and the crap show starts. The judge. Okay, this hearing was requested by X to request a DNA test for my son's name in order to establish paternity and then custody. Do either of you have anything to say? X. Yes, I want it to be known that after my son is proven mine, I plan on getting full custody. She should have never kept him from me. I stand up and tell the judge, Your Honor, I have no issue with him wanting a DNA test. However, I do want to point out that I haven't been in this man's presence since April 2001. My son was born in June 2002. Before we waste any more of the court's time, here's my son's birth certificate. I'd love to know how he thinks I was pregnant for 14 months in order for him to be the father. The judge frowns. X's lawyer jumps up and runs to stare at what the birth certificate stated. And X is still saying, "It proves nothing. He is my child." The judge asks X, "Sir, when was the last time you had S relations with the child's mother?" X, "About 3 weeks before she left me." The judge literally does a facepalm before stating that he's throwing this case out. X's lawyer is trying to calm X down, but he's not having it. "I'm not going to be kept from my son. I'm taking her to court in Oregon. The judges in Illinois are all stupid morons." The judge turns around, stares at X, then has him arrested for contempt of court before walking out. The sad thing is, X knew he was born in June and still convinced himself that he was the father. And my mother couldn't stop laughing all the way back to my house. Oh, by the way, I never heard from him again. If it hadn't happened to me, I'd think it was too stupid to be true. So, does this man think women are pregnant for like 14 or so months after they leave their man? God, he should never be around his children again. Rawr, Kitty 2 says, "He sounds about as stupid as my dad when he requested a maternity test during my parents' divorce." Yes, you heard that correctly. A maternity test. Because despite being there and cutting both cords, my dad stated in court that he didn't believe our mom to be our mom, and therefore he should have custody. Daylily61 says, "I believe the gestational period for elephants is something like 15 months. Maybe Mr. Jerk was going to claim that there was a mix-up at the hospital." For some background, our parents retired young as accountants and amassed a pretty penny from investments. We're both trust fund kids. Since we were 16 and set to end when we're 30, we're given $3,000 a month from our parents. I'm 28 male. My sister is 31 female. Considering the climate we're in now, since we live in expensive cities with $2,000 a month rent, it's mostly a rent subsidy than anything. It's just not throwaway money to duck around with. It still needs to be used with care. I call it a trust, but it's managed by my parents, not a third party. I don't know the word for it. It's not a contract or anything. Ever since I started getting it, I've been saving it. Once I got my own place, a lot of it goes to rent, but I keep saving the rest. I don't work to my full potential because my job right now as IT at a private school is very comfortable and non-stressing. When I got married last year, we did use a lot of my savings. Compounding this is we just completed our first pregnancy in October, and since babies need money, it just kept diving into my savings. Right now, the $3,000 a month is paying for rent while I continue to save otherwise. That is until my sister decided to convince our parents that we're both adults, so we don't need this money anymore. I don't know what was said other than that, but she did convince our parents to do this. I received my trust last month, but not this month, and I'm told I'm no longer getting it. Right now, I have to contend with a 5-month-old in a house I can no longer afford, and I will likely have to move to a more remote area where rent is cheaper, but also lose my job in the process. When even a 1-bedroom apartment is like $1,500 a month in rent, it's just impossible to live. We were grandfathered in with our house rental at $1,900 for 4 bedrooms. I want to know if I'm the a-hole for banning my sister from seeing my child, since this entire situation is of her own creation. I don't know why she's doing it, but it affects my family when it doesn't really hers. She lives at home with them still. She isn't paying rent, nor is she even getting this money anymore. She got hers, but I can't get mine now. OK Sympathy 6395 says, "You're the a-hole. Boy, you really are the epitome of a spoiled trust fund kid. The decision to give you thousands of dollars regularly was always your parents' to make, and you should never have planned your life around it continuing. Just because your sister happened to point out that you two are grown adults who don't need mommy's money doesn't make her responsible for your poor choices and financial situation. Grow up, finally, and don't cut off family members because you're finally having to experience adult life like the rest of us. P.S. If this is ruining your life now, what the duck was your plan in 2 years when you stopped getting the money?" Cosmic Waters 20 says, "Man, what a first world problem. Sounds like you need to learn how to manage your money like an adult." Please Don't Unlock Me says, "Everyone sucks here. I'd say your sister definitely sucks for waiting until after she turned 30 to start saying you don't need the money anymore. What you are doing, however, sounds like you are just using your child as leverage. Sure, you have the right to stop anyone from seeing your child. Based on what you wrote, it sounds like you are punishing your sister for convincing your parents of this. She's not the only one who can talk to your parents. You can convince them to continue the fund. You could talk to them and explain the situation. You are saving money, but you were expecting that the money would keep coming until you were 30, like they said, and were trying to get in a better financial position.